So you can understand even more so why he would want to step away and not focus on fighting or defending his title, because obviously there's a lot going on. It's extremely sad.
The world of mixed martial arts paused in shock. Ilia Topuria had willingly left the octagon after going undefeated in 2 classes and appearing unstoppable at the height of his career. No harm, no retirement. One man compelled to engage in combat that went well beyond punches, kicks, and submissions. Fans, commentators, and other fighters were left wondering, why now? As the statement sent shockwaves around the world. More significantly, would the greatest fighter of his time be able to withstand a battle outside of the cage, something no training camp could ever prepare him for? The MMA community was in disarray as soon as Topuria's comment was released. His perfect record and strategic skill inside the cage were replaced by rumors. Doubt and anxiety for a guy whose physical domination had always seemed unassailable. After analyzing the news, analysts considered the following scenarios. How long will he be gone? Would his competitive advantage be diminished by the break? And might his absence cause a significant change in the UFC scene? For fighters who had long awaited a shot at his title, the timing was both devastating and tantalizing, a rare opportunity appearing in the midst of unprecedented chaos. Suddenly, divisions that had been firmly locked under Topuria's control were up for grabs, igniting debates and predictions that surged across social media and sports, networks alike. Platforms were quickly inundated with support, bewilderment, and incredulity from fans. Some applauded Topuria's bravery, acknowledging that even champions must occasionally make sacrifices for their families and personal integrity. Others expressed dissatisfaction, anxious about how his absence might affect the division's competitive hierarchy, and eager to see him defend his championships. Analysts pored over every nuance of the announcement, parsing language for clues about potential duration, legal implications, and personal strain. Social media threads became hotbeds of discussion, with hashtags trending globally as every angle of the story was examined, debated, and dissected. For a man whose image had been built on invincibility, the vulnerability, exposed by stepping away, humanized him in a way that fans rarely witnessed. Executives and matchmakers of the UFC met right away to discuss the ramifications. Promotional campaigns were revised, fight cards were rearranged, and title defenses were delayed. Every part of the organization was affected. Sponsors reevaluated agreements, broadcasters revised their marketing plans, and event coordinators had to adjust to an abruptly erratic schedule. Every decision carried weight, as the absence of a champion whose dominance had been near absolute created a ripple effect through pay-per-view numbers, ticket sales, and fan engagement. Meanwhile, fighters who had previously trailed Topuria now saw the division as a landscape of opportunity. Some quietly admired his courage, while others openly prepared to step into the void, knowing that the chance to claim a championship in the wake of his absence could define their careers. Topuria's choice underscored a reality often invisible to the public. Personal battles outside the cage can be as intense or more so than those fought under the bright lights of the octagon. Fighters, though physically extraordinary, are human first. Fame, wealth, and expectation magnify the pressures they face, but the emotional and legal challenges of personal life remain inescapable. For someone like Topuria, a man who had mastered control over his physical and mental state in competition, admitting that circumstances required him to step back took immense courage. It was a reminder to fans and fellow fighters alike that even the most dominant champion is not immune to life's unforeseen trials. As speculation intensified, journalists began investigating the timeline behind Topuria's withdrawal. Reports indicated that legal matters required his immediate attention, matters that were neither minor nor routine. Sources close to the champion hinted at extortion attempts, threats, and false allegations designed to damage his reputation. These were not trivial interruptions, but high-stakes situations that demanded his undivided focus. To navigate them responsibly, Topuria recognized that stepping away from the octagon was not just a personal decision. It was a strategic necessity to protect himself, his family, and the integrity of his career. Social media erupted with reactions. Fans expressed admiration for his transparency and empathy for the challenges he faced, while analysts debated the potential ramifications for the lightweight and featherweight divisions. Some fighters shared supportive messages, acknowledging the immense difficulty of balancing personal responsibility with the demands of a championship career. Even rivals, who might have once relished the opportunity to challenge him, spoke with respect, recognizing the courage required to prioritize personal life over immediate glory. The narrative shifted. Topuria was no longer just a champion. He had become a symbol of resilience, integrity, and human complexity. The seriousness of the situation became clear as more information became available. The tale revolved around Topuria's divorce from Georgina Bedell and the subsequent custody battles over their small kid. What should have been a private matter became a closely watched ordeal due to the public nature of the procedures, which further increased the pressure. The stakes extended beyond titles and paychecks. They encompassed family, reputation, and long-term stability. Every statement, filing, and action carried consequences that could ripple through his personal life and professional career alike. The emotional and mental strain of this period was immense, challenging even the most disciplined and mentally resilient of fighters. In his public statement, Topuria addressed the allegations directly. He confirmed that he had been subjected to attempted extortion, facing threats designed to manipulate him through false accusations. The champion categorically denied these claims, emphasizing that evidence and facts supported his version of events. The statement revealed a man forced to fight a battle unlike any in the UFC, a fight where the adversary was deception, manipulation, and potential harm to his family. It was a confrontation that required the same strategic thinking, mental toughness, and precision that had defined his championship reign. But in an entirely different arena, reaction was swift and polarized. Many in the MMA community expressed solidarity, praising his commitment to truth and family. Max Holloway, known for his candid insight, acknowledged the enormous pressure of balancing personal responsibilities with a professional fighting career, highlighting the invisible struggles champions endure. Others, like Bryce Mitchell, offered criticism, sparking debate over public commentary and the appropriateness of scrutiny in deeply personal matters. The controversy amplified the story, drawing more eyes to Topuria's choices and decisions, and cementing the narrative as one that was both complex and highly publicized. Behind the scenes, the UFC began strategizing for the ramifications of a prolonged absence. Fights were rescheduled, rankings adjusted, and interim champions considered, all while ensuring that Topuria's eventual return could be managed without undermining the integrity of the divisions. The competitive landscape, previously dominated by a single, flawless figure, was suddenly in flux. Opportunities for rising fighters appeared overnight, and the unpredictability added an additional layer of suspense for fans and media. The narrative of dominance, once assured, now included tension, speculation, and anticipation. Topuria's human tale grabbed center stage throughout this chaos. Social media posts, interviews, and criticism all emphasized the tremendous bravery needed to deal with personal turmoil, false charges, and legal threats while keeping family first. The champion's choice to give up notoriety, titles, was a reflection of values that go beyond athletics and provided insight into life outside of the cage. In addition to supporters, he received support from co-workers, previous opponents, and training partners, demonstrating the respect and compassion he commanded within the MMA community. The rarity of Topuria's choice became increasingly apparent. In a field where champions are often defined by their relentless pursuit of records and belts, stepping back at the height of one's career is almost unheard of. But Topuria's abduction revealed the depth of his character, the value he placed on integrity, and the lengths he would go to protect his family from harm and public scrutiny. In every public statement he made, he struck a careful balance between prudence and transparency, emphasizing that he could not compromise his principles due to external pressure. The ripple effect of his decision extended far beyond personal boundaries. Former opponents, who had once studied him as a competitor, now spoke of admiration for his resolve. Reflecting on the mental toughness required to navigate a battle that had nothing to do with punches or submissions, coaches and teammates praised the discipline it took to remain composed under intense scrutiny. Noting that such challenges often test an athlete's character more than any title fight ever could, the human aspect of Topuria's trip touched even admirers, who were frequently engrossed in conjecture and discussion. Platforms throughout the world were inundated with encouraging messages, each of which served as a reminder that champions confront struggles that cannot be shown on film, even beyond the record books and highlight reels. During this period of his life, Topuria transformed from a fighter to be dreaded within the cage to a guy whose bravery, tenacity, and fortitude motivated everyone observing from the outside. Evidence submitted to judicial authorities in Spain underscored the seriousness of the situation. Audio recordings, written communications, and video materials painted a picture of calculated attempts to undermine Topuria's reputation and destabilize his personal life. The meticulous approach he took in documenting and presenting this evidence revealed a man determined to confront threats strategically, with the same methodical precision that had guided his fighting career. The parallels between inside cage strategy and out-toved cage problem-solving were evident, highlighting the champion's resilience, intelligence, and unwavering focus. The impact on the divisions Topuria had dominated was immediate. Fighters who had long chased the dream of a title shot now faced a new reality. Open opportunities tempered by uncertainty. Matchmakers and promoters worked tirelessly to recalibrate event cards and maintain competitive excitement. Fans debated hypothetical matchups, emerging contenders, and the long-term implications for UFC rankings. The intrigue was magnified by Topuria's still active presence in the conversation. Although absent from competition, his influence and aura of dominance persisted, casting a shadow over those who stepped into the limelight. The division's competitive reorganization, the legal disputes, the personal agony, and the public scrutiny all contributed to the creation of an unmatched tale in MMA history. Topuria's predicament involved more than simply fighting. It involved honesty, fortitude, and the ability of people to handle difficult situations without resorting to physical force. It made the sport. Its society and its supporters faced the fact that champions are imperfect. Even professionals at the top of their field face demands, dangers, and obligations that stretch well beyond the octagon. The implications were immediate. Within the UFC, discussions about who could fill the void left by Topuria began in earnest. Analysts debated potential interim champions, calculating matchups, stylistic advantages, and the mental readiness of fighters suddenly thrust into the spotlight. Names that had lingered in the shadows of the champion's dominance now surfaced as contenders who might redefine the division. The prospect to win a title was alluring, but the possibility of Topuria's inevitable return cast a shadow that required tact, planning, and mental toughness. These athletes' punches, camps, and public remarks were suddenly evaluated not only against one another, but also against a person whose absence was felt more deeply than a defeat could possibly represent. Fans and commentators were equally consumed by the narrative. Social media became a complex web of speculation, support, and heated debate. Polls and trending hashtags dissected every possible scenario. Who could capitalize on the interim void? Would any new champion survive the inevitable clash with Topuria upon his return? Conversations spilled across forums, podcasts, and live broadcasts, with every expert offering a hot take, yet none could claim certainty in the unfolding drama. It was a living story, evolving day by day, punctuated by rumors, confirmations, and the slow drip of details about Topuria's personal and legal battles. The fascination wasn't merely with sport, it was with the man at the Centaur champion navigating a crisis that few could imagine, and fewer still could endure with composure. The personal stakes, however, continued to be crucial. In order to protect Topuria's family and his reputation, his legal team painstakingly gathered evidence, handled court documents, and worked with authorities behind closed doors. Every document, every witness, and every step in the procedure carried a great deal of weight and required attention that might rival that of any training camp. Mentors, friends, and family joined together to provide support, forming a network that, although unseen by the general public, served as the foundation of his fortitude. The emotional toll was enormous. Uncertainty interfered with sleep. Decisions had serious repercussions, and maintaining composure under continual scrutiny. The public only saw the headlines, but the reality was a daily, draining struggle that was equally harsh despite lacking gloves, cages, or referees. Respect for Topuria's handling of the situation increased dramatically within the larger MMA world. Both newer fighters and veterans recognized the strength needed to strike a balance between personal commitments and professional. Legacy former champions provided insight into the psychological effects of moving away, stressing that character and poise may define a legacy more than victories ever could, even in defeat or absence. Every discussion and contemplation strengthened the realization that Topuria was facing a kind of foe that required more than just physical prowess, required bravery, endurance, and an unwavering moral compass. The duality of life as a champion was brought to light by the contrast between Topuria's public persona and his personal struggle. He was an unbeatable figure inside the octagon, exact, commanding, and unwavering. Outside, he was vulnerable, human, and faced difficulties that no amount of training could lessen. Fans all throughout the world were captivated by that duality, which produced a story that went beyond MMA. It developed into a tale of human resiliency, the burden of accountability, and the fortitude needed to confront hardship. Each statement, post, and media appearance contributed to a larger discussion on honesty, selflessness, and the cost of achievement. As weeks turned into months, the suspense only intensified. Speculation about Topuria's return became a sport in itself, with analysts charting possible timelines and opponents. While fans debated every nuance of his public statements and legal maneuvers, the narrative was no longer about a fight in a cage. It was about a fight for truth, reputation, and family. Ultimately, Topuria's absence changed not only his category, but also the idea of what it takes to be a champion. Strength is now determined by one's capacity to face life's unforeseen challenges with bravery, strategy, and steadfast integrity, rather than just by knockouts or title defenses. A universal reality was brought home to every spectator, combatant, an insider watching this story. The best fights aren't usually fought in cages. They are occasionally waged in living rooms, courtrooms, and the hearts of people who won't compromise on their most important beliefs. Ilia Topuria's narrative served as a witness to that reality, serving as a reminder that great champions are characterized not only by their triumphs, but also by their bravery in the face of difficulty. When all eyes are on them and the stakes are extremely high,